Guys, welcome to the show. So, I've got a guest on today. Obviously, the capture of Nicolas Maduro has caused a lot of good and bad reactions in America, and a lot of people don't really know what's happening or has happened in the progression of Nicolas Maduro life in Venezuela. The other day, I had a young lady's clip on my video. I'm bringing her on to talk to her experience living in Venezuela and her reaction to Nicolas Maduro being captured and brought to justice. Rosie, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How about you?
Good, good. So I had your clip on the other day, and I wanted to basically get you on here and give my viewers an idea of life in Venezuela. If you could talk about yourself a little bit so my audience can get to know you.
So, I was born and raised in Venezuela, in Caracas, where everything is happening right now. And I moved to the US on 2016 as soon as I turned 18. And the reason why I moved it was because I was never able to speak up for myself. Unfortunately, when you go out, you gotta be careful what you said. So I wanted freedom. I honestly wanted progress. I wanted freedom. I wanted a normal life.
Hmm. Yeah. And those that want to learn more about you, I think, do you do coaching? I know you're a bodybuilder. I got it.
Oh, yes. So I am a coach and I'm also a bodybuilder. I compete in the bikini division and that's what I love. I love fitness. And but since all these situations been happening, I've been also talking a lot about it because it's necessary. It's necessary to give light to some people and teach them before they go protesting about something that they don't know.
Yeah, we got a lot of people that they don't have a good understanding, and I want people to understand something real. When people are seeing the Venezuela in the headlines, you actually live there, right? And
Correct.
what was normal daily life like for you there in the population? I'm sure you still have family there and things like that.
Correct. Yeah, I still have family there. My grandma is 101 years old. She still
Wow.
live there. Yeah, she thought she was gonna die before she saw anything happen. So that was a great moment for us. Life in Venezuela is hard. People don't know how hard it is because they have never lived through it. And we're blessed here in the US because we have freedom. But unfortunately, over there, even when you go out, you cannot pull out your phone outside of your pocket because you never know who's watching behind you and then who's gonna just kill you just to rob you because of your phone. So also Caracas is the top three most dangerous cities in the whole world. And this all started since this government started. Um, and we're divided. We're divided. Is the regular people and the government.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's important because a lot of people think oppression starts with soldiers in the streets, but usually it starts quieter than that. And at what point, and maybe you didn't live through that point, maybe it was before you were born, but did you realize things you just couldn't say out loud anymore? It got to the point where you just couldn't say uh,
So my yeah. So my parents were always taught us not to talk about politics or anything related in toward the government because it was heading towards that direction. Also, my mom used to work for the government, and way back in the day, I think it was 2006 or 2008, there was this list where people were signing up. So Chavez, the guy before Maduro, but it was the same party, um, people were signing up for him to like leave. Correct. So my mom signed that up. She got fired
wow.
and blacklisted. She used to work for the Minister of Education over there. She got fired, blacklisted. No reason. They just told her, hey, you know what you did. You went against us. And after that, my parents were always very clear to us, like, you can have your own thoughts and everything, but you cannot express yourself. You can't express your thoughts outside home because you never know who's listening and they might retaliate against you.
So your mother got blacklisted, fired from her job. Those who criticize the government or question the system is what are some other things that may have happened to you there?
What is the what?
What's some other consequences of questioning the government? Like what your mother got terminated from her job. Are there
Yes,
worse things that could happen to you for questioning the system or the government?
correct. So on 2014, I remember everybody was just going and protesting because that was like around February is when everything started. And I think it was a student day or something like that. So all the students were now protesting against the government. We also gotta remind ourselves we're not allowed to buy guns, civilians in Venezuela. So you just go pacifically protesting against the government. You have no guns or anything like that whatsoever. And I went to a bunch of protests back there, and they were shooting people. I will not forget. The government came and shoot a girl right next to me, and then you just gotta run for your life at that point. But I remember I told my mom, because she didn't want me to go, of course. Like, your parents don't want you to risk your life. But I remember I told my mom, I was like, this is a country that I grew up in, and this is what I believe. You told me that I could believe have my own thoughts. And you already seen like so many bad things happening. Like, the levels of poverty in Venezuela were so bad, and they were just worse and worse. Also, we couldn't find supplies like regular shampoo or soap, and it was just rough. You have to go to 5, 6, 7 different places, sometimes more, just to find shampoo. And it's like only one brand that you can buy, whatever brand, and it might not be the next time you go, might not be that brand. It's whatever you can find. And the same with medicines. There were not medicines.
So it's more really about enforcing silence, or was it fear? People policing themselves basically before the government had to. Like you said, when your parents would tell you couldn't say certain things, like would the community say, hey, I wouldn't say anything?
Everybody, all my friends, like I remember we used to like get together or after school or doing homework, and all my friends were like, yeah, like, we can't talk about this outside. We can't, because if a cop hear you, they'll disappear you. Like, they'll take you, and then your parents will never find where you are. Nobody knows where will you be at. And by that point, you're a minor. They don't care. They don't care about the laws. They do their own laws.
And you mentioned the firearms, and I believe I read in 2012 was when Chavez had guns removed from citizens. And if citizens don't have guns, then who does?
Just the government. Just the government.
And what does that do for the balance of power between people in the state at that point then?
So at that point, you are defending yourself with your voice and nothing else. And just going out protesting. And unfortunately, you can't do anything like that. Or either the military people rebel themselves with the government and then they save us, or either you just die protesting. There is no other way. Like, there's no way that civilians will free themselves. We did try to protest. We tried to go against the government. Yes, like, we're like more than them. I've read all these comments, but it's like, when you have people shooting at you, what do you think? Like, how can you overcome that?
Yeah, and the countries, I think Americans may not understand this, but most small countries like this, their militaries aren't to go fight in outside conflicts. Venezuela's military doesn't go like fight in another war zone somewhere. Their military is essentially for the people.
Exactly. They don't go out fighting nothing. They just go out fighting civilians and Venezuelan people. It's just to control the regular people. They don't have it for protection. No, it's just to control the Venezuelans.
Hmm. And again, a lot of people online, I've seen it lately. Why didn't you just revolt? And you've seen obviously actually what happens when people try. What does it look like in real life? And you know, I've mentioned Oscar Perez quite a bit, who is a very famous revolutionary there, and you can talk about him a little bit if you'd like.
So he gave us hope. I thought that this was gonna be it because he actually rebelled. He stole helicopter. He did so many things, but and a lot of also the policemen were going with him. The problem is he didn't have enough people that had guns. He didn't have enough resources. So at that point, it's like, what can you do? And like him, we also have other politicians that have rebelled, like Maria Corina Machado.
Yeah.
She doesn't have guns. She doesn't have anything. This lady just won the Nobel Prize. She's not the one that the elections, but because she's not able to run. She's not even able to have a passport because the government took that right away from her. She's not able to leave the country in a plane because they don't let her. Because like she knows too much or she can talk too much.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
happened.
only because she ran against Maduro. She was opposition.
Yes. And if they don't find you, they'll go after your family. That is the worst part of everything. Is like, it's not just like if they know you're against them, okay, then you run away, you go to another country, whatever, they'll go after your family. Like the guy that won actually the elections on 2024 in Mundo, they went for his son-in-law. He was a lawyer in Venezuela, never had any issues, doesn't have a record. This man was in his home. Well, the same charges that they put to Edmundo, they put it to his son-in-law, and this man got no record.
So the guy that ran before Edmundo, he got imprisoned. I'm pretty sure I read that. Is that right?
I'm sorry, you got cut off.
The guy that ran before Edmundo, he got put in prison.
Oh yeah, Leopoldo Lopez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So they imprisoned the opposition.
Everyone that runs or rebels against the government gets imprisoned, like you get put into jail or you have to run for your life and your family. You got to make sure that you take your family with you because if not, they'll go after them.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
And you know, hearing all this, I want to bring it back to you personally. Was there a moment where you knew I have to leave, or was it something that was built up over time? Was there like a single moment you're like, this is it, I've got to go? Or is it just over the course of your life that you're like, I can't live like this?
So you don't know how it is a normal life when you grow up in Venezuela. Like you have no idea, especially like my generation, people that grew up with this government. But then I saw a lot of people as I was growing up, they were like leaving the country, just leaving. And then, you know, you keep in touch with these people and they're like, oh yeah, like, you know, you can buy your car. I was like, you can buy a car? What do you mean? Like, do you have like enough money to buy a car? Like when you're 16, oh yeah, you find a job and then you work and then you buy a car. Okay. And then you start like talking to all these people that have left or start even seeing on social media. You like see so much freedom. This kid's walking on the street with his phone on his hand. I was like, how is that? Like, that doesn't exist in my country. Mm-hmm. So I was like growing up and then I see all these things and I was like, I don't want this life for myself. I want to be able to be like all the rest of the people. I want to be able to talk about whatever I want to talk on the internet or to my friends or outside of my house, and not being like imprisoned or being, beat up just because I have an opinion. So I was like, no, I gotta leave. So on 2015, it was so bad. That year was horrible. I remember my grandma. She needs medication because she's older. We couldn't find medication for her. Like, you will go to 20 different pharmacies in Caracas and then you couldn't find it.
Wow.
Like, it was so bad. And I was like, I started telling my mom, I was like, I want to leave. I can't, I don't think there is a future for me here. There is nothing for me to do here. There is like no future. And if I ever want to have kids, there is no future for my kids either. So I was like 16 or 17 years old. And then I was like, I need to find a way to leave. No matter how, I just need to go because this isn't life. This isn't anything. Like, you can't do anything with your life. So at that point, I knew.
You left there. You just didn't leave Venezuela, though. You left family behind, your identity that you knew, and a sense of home.
Yes, you leave everything behind. It was a rough decision. I'm not gonna lie. And there is family that I haven't seen like for 10 years because, I don't go back, of course. It's so dangerous. It's so crazy, the life out there. But once you take that step and then you enjoy also the other things in life, you enjoy that you can buy a car or you can have a normal life and you can have an expression, you can talk
Or choose
regular, like,
shampoo.
yeah, you can buy shampoo and soap. And toilet paper. I remember also we couldn't even find toilet paper. It was horrible. Or pads. So it's like, okay, like, you enjoy these little things of life. I remember like when I moved here my very first day, I went to Walmart and I always tell this to everybody. I went over there and I was like, oh my God, there is so many options to go buy shampoo. There's so many shampoos. I didn't even know which one, like, or what to buy. Or like the same with the soaps. It's like, it's so many options. And I was like, I'm so blessed because I am able to afford to buy shampoo and also to pick the shampoo that I want to pick. So
we have Americans that I guess they don't even realize what they have here because they grew up in it. When you hear Americans openly praise socialism, what goes through your mind, knowing where that road actually leads to?
I always get mad because I grew up in socialism. And then I always tell them, if you like so much socialism, why don't you go live in one of these countries to see how is the life actually there? You can't buy food, you can't buy medicine, you cannot have an opinion. I was like, I just don't understand. It's like they think that life is so perfect over there. Oh, you have free healthcare. Yeah, you go to the hospitals, they don't even have alcohol to clean any infection you have. They don't have anything. You go to the hospital, nothing. Like, one of my neighbors, he was a kid during COVID in 2020. His mom took him to 3 hospitals. They got nothing to treat him. Nothing. He died. He died and he was like 10 years old.
Why do you think that some Americans praise or want socialism?
Because they think that life will be easier and they have no education whatsoever. They don't research and they go off what they think is good and what sounds good. But if you talk to anyone that has ever lived in socialism, they will tell you the same. Because I've known a lot of people from Cuba and a lot of other countries, and they will say the same thing, that this is just like the worst way of living.
Because, New York just elected Mamdani as mayor, who is a socialist, glorified socialist, and the New Yorkers think it's going to be better.
They think. They think. That is the thing. I actually, when that happened this year, no, last year, sorry, because we're in 2026, I saw him, and it gives me the chills in a bad way. It brings me back to Chavez, because he's a guy that knows how to talk, and he will make everything pretty so people believe what he's saying. And people doesn't research, they just go off, oh, this sounds great, let me just vote for him. Yeah, you can talk all you want. Let's see how it actually runs. And honestly, every time people mention socialism, I just get really, really scared.
Yeah, that's why it's important to have people who, like yourself, that's lived under it, to speak out, because it is, especially with the younger generation, like college age kids, they think this is the solution to America. But obviously, every country we've seen that's been ran by socialists, it becomes a tyrannical dictator, and not good for the people. I'm not sure where they get this idea from. It doesn't make sense other than propaganda. I do want to ask you, because a lot of Americans are curious as to why Maduro's wife got arrested as well. A lot of people don't know her backstory, that she was Chavez's right hand, and she, I guess, groomed Maduro, who was a bus driver. A lot of people don't know that either. Maduro was just a bus driver and took over after Chavez.
Yes, so just like that. She was Chavez's right hand. Also, she's a lawyer. She actually is well educated, well rounded. She's a lawyer. She's the one that when they put Chavez in jail because he rebelled against the government, she was the one that was helping him. She is the head behind everything. This guy that has no education whatsoever, doesn't even know what to say. She goes to every meeting. She's the one making the decisions. He's just the face, because Venezuela will never pick a woman to be a president, because women are not ready to be president.
People are maybe not aware of this also, is that you said she was a lawyer and she worked with criminals. And from my understanding is that she is the one who helped mold Tren de Aragua and these other cartels to work in line with the government. So she kind of has her hands in the federal government as well as the criminal organizations, and kind of married them together for control. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. Also, I'm not sure if you're aware, but also family members of her were put in jail, and then they were released because they got cocaine, like 800 something. I don't remember the exact number, but the U.S. caught them with cocaine, put them in jail, and then on 2022 they give them back to Venezuela just to do an exchange of prisoners. So she is very involved with the drug cartels. She's very involved with the government. She makes the decisions. This is the woman that makes the decisions.
So essentially, Maduro is just a puppet to her, because she was Chavez's right hand, and essentially they carried on that. That leads me to also another thing, because Americans that haven't ventured outside America, they believe in that Democrat and Republican is pretty much like that everywhere, and that is not the case in Venezuela. So, for example, Machado, who is the opposition, she is actually a classic liberal, is my understanding. Like, she believes in liberal values. Maduro, actually, if you were to look at just his ideology, it would be conservative. He's against gay marriage. He's against abortions and those sort of things. He's also a socialist, though. So people are, I think, confused because the lines are blurred based off of our structure here in America, that you're either Democrat or Republican, and you have these values. But that's not the case.
No, in Venezuela is the people and the government. And that's it. There is no...
The ruling party, the state itself, and then the people.
Correct.
And they use the Marxism, socialism style, along with the military police to basically keep the citizens corralled.
Yeah, to keep you in shape.
Mm-hmm. And so Machado was part of something called Venezuela, which is classic liberal ideology, free markets, private property, rule of law, and dismantling of socialism and strong defense against civil liberties, is what I read. And then we have something that's more center right, because there's multiple different parties. There
is multiple parties in Venezuela.
There's Primero Justicia, which is more center right, legalistic, slower system. They believe in rule of law, democratic institutions, anti-corruption, gradual reform. But the problem with them is, from my understanding, is that they're a little soft, so they got just steamrolled. They couldn't keep the party together.
The problem that happened with Primero Justicia, it was that when Leopoldo Lopez got put into jail, a lot of the people that were in Primero Justicia were put into jail too.
Yeah, it didn't matter, right? Both parties.
It didn't matter.
And he was, Leopoldo Lopez was over the Voluntad Popular, which is the people, right? So like human rights, anti-authoritism, stuff like that.
Exactly. So all those Primero Justicia, Voluntad Popular, all of them, it got like the presidential elections in that sense goes the same as here. Like, it's a bunch of parties, and then you vote for like 2 candidates, and then you vote for who you want, which actually is the only one that they actually do is like the one that you vote with a bunch of them. They don't trick that one. But once you have 2 candidates, you know, even if you're gonna vote against the government, they also control the elections, so your vote doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. So if we look at Chavez was pretty much the game changer into socialism. Pre-Chavez was COPEI, COPEI, which was the Christian Democratic Party. They were very conservative, as you would almost think of them as what you would see in America as a Republican, right? Family, religion, property. And then socialism came with Chavez. And Chavez did it in a slow boil, because at first, from my understanding, when he took over, he was very much for the people. He put the train system back so people could travel freely, and so people loved him. But then he took a quick turn, and then it became us versus them. And I think that parallel looks a lot like America, what we see here. Now, to even run to be a president, you have to have $1 billion. I mean, that's not even a joke. You got to have $1 billion. So and to even become a politician, a senator, you have to be in bed with certain organizations to get money, and it has to be well funded. So now it's becoming a rural elite and people. And in my opinion, they use the Democrat and Republican as a way to divide the people, because it's easier to control. It looks like a same path almost, really, is what happened in Venezuela.
Correct. It does look a lot like it. It's kind of scary sometimes, because like it gives me flashbacks, and I'm like I hope this doesn't happen here. But the only reason that it gives me kind of hope that here the people actually is able to have guns. So I feel like if anything like that were to happen, at least people can defend themselves.
Yeah. So coming from you, leaving a socialist country, your number one thing is don't let firearms get removed.
Yes.
And if you could say one thing to Americans who think it can't happen here, what would it be?
We need to all educate ourselves more before we vote, instead of voting just because we saw something on Reddit. Because literally this is what's happening. The same with the people protesting. They just see one post on Reddit and they just run to protest or do this or do that. People need to educate themselves a lot before making decisions as big as picking the president or the senators or everyone else.
Mm-hmm. And that probably shouldn't come from Reddit posts or memes, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, Rosie, I appreciate you hanging out with me and giving some information. Is there anything we missed that you'd like to share? Or?
No, that'll be all.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and go follow. What's your handle at Instagram or any other social media platforms you want to let them know about?
So my Instagram is unapologetic Rosie, and you can find me there. And I have my links for my coaching and everything in that platform.
All right, guys, well, check her out. And again, thanks, Rosie. I appreciate your insight. And guys, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Give her a follow. And always remember to stay frosty, stay strapped, and always stay dangerous. Black Scout.
2, 3. 1, 2.